Hey, what's up? It is about 8:30 at night or so in Xiaoshan, China. Very fun, lovely little place. Scooters are bustling around. People are going to dinner, coming back from dinner, all sorts of fun stuff. The weekend, all that fun. But yeah, I wanted to talk about something that I really had no plans on putting in any other video. Something that I've learned while I've been here in China talking to a handful of factories in different cities. And that is labor pay. I talked to these factories about all their stuff, units, quantity, prices, products, announcements, all that sort of fun stuff. And then, just for fun, I wanted to know more about how much they pay their workers, particularly at the bottom level, because what they pay their executives is anyone's guess for anyone's reason or whatever. But I wanted to know what was going on at the bottom rung of the ladder, because I saw a very inspirational and, dare I say, influential video some years ago, and that was E-Bike Family from Tora Harris. You're probably already familiar with Tora. He's Juiced Bikes. He's the mastermind behind Juiced Bikes. Been around for a long time, knows his stuff, thoroughbred Olympian. So yeah, great guy. I haven't talked to him too terribly much, but I've ran into him a couple of times and really respect his work. And a long time ago, he did more or less a travel vlog of going to China and visiting some factories with the fella from Grin Technologies. And that was great. I saw that a long time ago, and it was quite eye-opening for me. And things have changed. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I want to talk about the pay, because that's something that's relevant today. When looking back at those past videos, you definitely see how far things have come. But today, how much is the average e-bike factory worker being paid? And I can answer that. And the answer is somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 RMB every month. And the exchange rate, I'll go ahead and put that up onto the screen. I think it's something like 600 and change or something like that every month. But I'm not too concerned about the exchange rate for how much they would get in US dollars, because I really wanted to know more about how their life was. I don't know, just kind of getting a glimpse into their finances, honestly, because they get paid about 4,000 to 5,000 RMB every month. And that's for the low-level workers. And I made sure to ask specifically each of these factories. I was like, that guy over there, and I point to someone who's emptying the trash, or someone doing some simple thing, pushing a button or packing a box or something like that, very unspecialized labor. I didn't ask about the guy who was building controllers or assembling motors or something that requires, some kind of electrical training at the very least. No, I was going for the base laborers. And that was the answer, the consistently averaged answer that I got from the handful of factories that I visited. And they told me without reservation. And they told me without thinking about it or asking the boss or looking at a spreadsheet or anything. They just kind of ballparked off of their memory. And when I got that consistently, confident answer on a moment's notice, it led me to believe it. Now, whether it is actually true, I don't know. I do know that different cities have different cost of living averages. So if you live in a place like Wuxi, it would be a lot cheaper than if you lived in a place like Hangzhou or even Shanghai. And it's the same thing for every place. I mean, if you live in the middle of Paris, you're probably paying a lot more money compared to the countryside. Same thing with LA, New York, whatever. So that's not different. But what is different is that I was also asking about other things in their life. So I actually met somebody who rents out some apartments to some base laborers. And this was not a factory person. This was someone outside of the factory who has a property that they rent out. Well, they actually rent out 7 different units. And the real estate laws and the legality kind of thing is a little fuzzy for my understanding. This person, of course, knew zero English, and I probably know 30 words in Mandarin Chinese, and their Mandarin was fine, I'm sure, but their local dialect is what they spent the most of their time speaking. So despite the fact that I had competent help with interpretation, there's definitely some laws and stuff that I don't understand. But This person, they had a home, and in that home they had built what I would consider like shanty, like small apartments in the back, and they were renting them out. And these were being rented for $1,000 a month, which I told someone else about this, and they said that's kind of expensive. You know, I would expect less, but nevertheless, it did kind of give an insight that if the base laborer is earning somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 RMB a month, and the base, kind of like perhaps a base level of apartment living is about $1,000 a month, or sorry, 1,000 RMB a month, then that's fairly consistent in terms of like how much percentage of your paycheck has to go towards your living, your dormitories and all that stuff. And the rest of it actually adds up too. So the cost of living in China is incredibly low compared to at least my experience in the US. Everything here is cheaper, not just cheaper because of the exchange rate, but it's just cheaper anyway. And the reason why, oh, thank you very much. That person waited for me. It's very, very nice. Most people don't wait, and that's just how it is. But they probably noticed that I was not paying attention. I was kind of, but I don't know, maybe I shouldn't risk my life on it. At any rate, stuff is cheaper here, a lot cheaper. And a big reason for that is because it doesn't have to ship. China builds an overwhelming percentage of the physical objects that the world consumes. I mean, even these scooters, here, check this out. Like these scooters that are not far from me, we would call them scooters or Vespas, but they call them e-bikes. They are electric. But anyways, these things cost like maybe $300 US. So it's not hard to save up for one of these if you have a regular paycheck of 5,000 RMB. And then you probably gotta wait a few months, especially if you're a little bit loose with your money. But you can totally get one of these and zip around to your local factory job that's not far away and kind of build up from there. Get from one of these things into a car, get from a car into a fancy pants SUV or something. And all of that's very possible with the base labor pay. And you get to see it in real time on the streets, or at least the results of that, because the public transportation system is better than the US, but it's not like final. The vast majority of people get around on these little scooters or a small little car or something like that. They don't have like buses taking everyone to work. I mean, they do have buses, they do have light rail and all that, but it's not everybody. The vast majority are doing it on their own, like their own individual trips. And that's possible not only with the technology, but again, the price. The price of all this stuff and all the other knickknacks that's made here in China doesn't have to ship across the world. It just ships a couple of hours away from the other side of the country at most. I mean, there's tons of factories that build tons of different things in tons of different parts of China. This is not one place. This is not like one city. There's tons of cities that I've just been able to visit that oh, another person. Man, maybe there's more vloggers here than I realized, but they were waiting for me, which is very nice. But yeah, there's tons of different cities making this stuff, and so things don't have to travel far, and therefore their expenses are low. And you know, I mean, let's be honest, the quality of a lot of stuff is low too, and that's okay for our hyper-consumer global society. That particular issue is not certainly relegated to only this country. But yeah, cost of living is not a bad thing for the base laborer in the few e-bike factories that I was able to visit on this trip. And I'm really excited for that. Like, I'm happy because bringing it all back home, that inspirational video that I saw from Tora Harris was titled E-Bike Family. And that did have an impact on me when I first saw it many years ago, because it did help to put into a proper frame of reference that within the electric bike industry, it does, or it can, for some people, it can feel like a family. It can feel like we're all in this together, that we're all growing and learning and doing more and being more and connecting more with each other. And this has been a great trip for that. I have learned a great deal about this side of the family, you know, some long lost cousins, because these people know, like, they speak my language, so to speak. That's very much a ill-applied colloquialism, but what I want to say is that they understand bikes when I go to a bike and I'm like motioning and grunting with my terrible, calling it broken Chinese is very generous. But when I start going to a bike to like do something, they know what I'm thinking. They know that I'm thinking I want to, turn on the light, or I want to pull up the wheel or something like that. They all know bikes. They all, or at least the people in the industry here, they all know them. They know them very well. They know what I'm asking. They know what I'm getting at. They know what I want to do. And it's really cool. It's cool to be able to connect with these people and to see how it is on literally the other side of the world. I'm really happy that I got to come here, and I'm really happy that I get to share all of this with you, including the part about labor pay, because although it's definitely not glamorous living in some ways, especially when you have to use the bathroom here, it's still heartwarming. I'll put it that way. It's heartwarming. And we are very different in a lot of ways culturally, like just with our nationalities and all that stuff. But yeah, it's been great. So if you want to see more videos on the trip to China, you can check out this playlist here, or you can subscribe to the channel for just more goofiness. I'm Mikey for Blue Monkey Bicycles, and I will see you on the later.